Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Halo 3 Productions here, and today I'm going to show you how to install Windows 7 on your computer. The only thing you'll need is your Windows 7 disk and a legitimate product key, and you're ready to go. Also, another consideration is if your computer can run Windows 7, I would consider most computers today could probably run Windows 7, like newer ones. But if you happen to have a one that's probably older than 5 years or so, may not be able to run it very well. I guess the minimum requirements would be a 1 gigahertz processor and a gig of RAM, as well as 20 gig hard drive. 64-bit requirements would be just a little bit more, but I would assume most computers can, handle that today. If you happen to want to run, on a system that barely meets the requirements, you can run it, but it won't run very well at all. It'll barely be able to run Windows 7 and nothing else. So I definitely recommend that you, get something better, or just, you're kind of stuck with what you have, like, Windows XP or whatnot, which it's not necessarily a bad thing. But basically, what we're going to do today is we're going to do a clean installation. Means that, like, it would just do a, it would wipe out the current operating system, or, it would be a computer with no operating system. As for upgrades, I'll talk about that a little bit, or I'll talk about it a little after we do the clean installation here. So basically what you want to do is you'd want to, restart your computer and put the disk in, as I'll do right now. I'll be doing it on a VM workstation. So I'm going to turn it on. So I'm going to go right into the BIOS. Just hit F2 when you first start up a computer, or F1 or escape or delete. If you're already aware of this, setting your boot order to CD first or DVD first, so that your computer will see the CD or DVD when it initially starts up. If you already have all that covered, then just skip what I'm going to do right now. But I'm basically just confirming that CD and DVD is the first thing on the list, or you know what I mean. It allows you to boot to the DVD when you first turn on your computers. To just would go through these menus here. You go to the right. At least for this one. All BIOSes tend to be a little different, but look for like a boot area. Like you can change the boot settings. And as we see right here, I have it set, not really that big of an issue, but it's just CD-ROM, removable devices, hard drive, and then network, so I'm all set up. So then you would just hit exit, save and changes, hit yes. And now that you have your DVD in, it should show you this. Then you just hit enter, or any key. So now Windows will load the files needed to run the setup. Alright, then it'll prompt you with this first. For most people, I would assume you'd leave this the same. Otherwise, change it to the, the appropriate, whatever goes for you. But, for me, I'm going to leave it the same. Hit next, and then hit install now. Alright, then just accept the licensing terms. And then here would be your two options if when we're gonna talk about upgrading. You would click Custom Advanced, since we're doing a fresh install. Well, I've been messing around with this virtual machine before, but considering that this one is the biggest drive, and you would probably only see one, so you're just gonna click right here. Click next. Must have already installed Windows on this, but I'm just going to hit OK anyway. If you happen to be overwriting, let's say you have Windows XP, and incidentally, you can't upgrade from Windows XP to Windows 7 directly. But let's just say you wanted to, just do a clean install over Windows XP. What it'll do is when you're installing, if you don't format the drive, you just simply install right over. It'll take the whole Windows XP installation. It'll put it in one folder and call it windows.old, and then it'll create a new folder called Windows. That's where the Windows installation directory is, in your computer, all the critical files and whatnot. So all your existing files are put in windows.old. I mean, you can browse through the directory and go to your desktop and your My Documents folder and all the different folders. So your files will still all be there, but of course, if you were going to do that, I'd still recommend backing it up just in case for some magical reason your files weren't there. But that's generally what happens when you install, literally directly install over an existing Windows installation. So this part will probably take 15 to 20 minutes depending on your computer. Maybe it may take longer. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stop the recording and then just wait till it's done, and I'll start it back up so that it'll, there's no point in recording all of this. It should just simply go through all of this and then restart, and basically when there's an important prompt that I need to walk you through again, I will show it. So anyway, I'll come back when this is finished. All right, we're back. This will be the next screen that you'll see after we left. It basically just tells you to type in a username. Let's type in user. As you notice down here, it'll automatically populate this area, user-PC. You could just change that to, Windows 7 or whatever. Actually, you can't, and brings up this, actually, I put a space in, can contain any of the following characters, including a space. So you can put dashes that would fill in a space, but other than that, that's what you type in there. Typing in a password and a password hint. That's if you want to. Personally, for my background and my security background, I would recommend it, but even for most time, I don't even have one myself. But yeah. Of course, you type in your product key here if you want to activate Windows Now, if you're connected to the internet. Right now, I don't need to enter the product key since you'll get I think you get a 30-day grace period. You could just keep using Windows, and at the end of the 30 days, it'll lock you out of your computer. So after you install Windows, if you don't have your product key on you at the moment, definitely would recommend activating it. Or if you have other means of activating Windows. Of course, here, use recommended settings, install important updates only, ask me later. This is just for Windows updates. For us with legitimate copies of Windows, we would click this. For you who do not have legitimate copies, we would click this. But considering you're using a legitimate copy, we would click use recommended setting. Of course, here I would just choose Central Time, considering that's where I am located. Next. And then here is where you select your computer's current location, home, work, public. I would bet for most, 95% of people, it's going to be home. If you happen to be at a workplace with a domain, you would want to click here. It's all about your computer being discoverable on a network, and the different sharing options that'll be authorized. I mean, you can obviously change them, but I would like to almost consider they're like presets. Of course, if you are in a public network, let's say you steal internet from the nearest airport or McDonald's, I would definitely click this because then your computer won't be discoverable on a network, and whatnot. But for me, I'm going to click home. And then it'll connect to my network and apply the settings as it says. Yeah. And then it'll just simply finalize everything, and then it'll just set up your desktop, and then you will be at the desktop then. Alright, so now you have successfully installed Windows. The only thing left that I would do is obviously post-installation tasks, such as like installing applications and making sure drivers and whatnot are installed, like all of them that are installed correctly. You would just click Start, Computer, Manage, Device Manager. And considering it's a virtual machine, I generally don't have a problem with drivers, but it tells me that a base system device, like an unknown device, and a multimedia audio controller, which is sound card, is not installed. So then that way, with a normal PC, you would just, use the disk that came with your computer, or look, go online to whatever manufacturer, say you built your computer, or wherever you bought it, check it out, like say at Dell.com, check their website for updated drivers for Windows 7 and whatnot. Which leads me to talk about upgrade a little bit. If you're upgrading to Windows 7, I alluded to this a little earlier about Windows XP. You cannot directly upgrade from Windows XP to Windows 7. How you would start an upgrade, you would stick the disk in while at Windows XP, and you would come up and you'd hit Run Setup. I mean, it won't work, but this is the way you would normally do it. With Windows XP or Windows Vista, you would just put the CD in and run the upgrade from the CD, and then it'll just take over from there and basically do very, very, very similar things that I showed here. They're not really any different. But like I said, you can't upgrade from Windows XP to Windows 7. You'd have to do a clean installation, like we did here, in order to do it. There is one other way. You could upgrade from Windows XP to Windows Vista, and then upgrade from Windows Vista to Windows 7 to like bridge the gap. That is, if you have Windows Vista, like a Windows Vista product key in the Windows Vista like CD, and of course then you would have to upgrade appropriately. Like, I don't think you can upgrade from Windows XP Professional to Windows Vista Home Premium. It's like upgrading from a better version to a worse version. Like, it would have to be Windows XP Home Edition to Windows Vista Home Premium. And as well as, you couldn't upgrade from a 32-bit to a 64-bit or a 64 to a 32. Won't be really the case with Windows XP very much. So you'd have to, like I said, you have to upgrade from XP to Vista and Vista to 7. As for upgrading from Vista to 7, just stick the DVD in, click upgrade, and then follow the prompts, very similar to what we did here. So, and then also, before running anything for upgrading, there is the Windows 7 Upgrade Advisor. I'm not really going to do much with it here, but I'll put a link in the description for it. You can run it on XP, Vista, any operating system, I believe, and then it'll run some checks and check your hardware and whatnot, just to let you know if your computer is going to work. Especially with like certain, I think, applications, or it'll tell you if there's known issues with drivers and whatnot, or it'll basically give you a nice rundown if you should or if you shouldn't upgrade or do a clean install. It'll kind of help guide you along the way. So using Windows 7 Upgrade Advisor is definitely a good thing to do, to check out if you can really upgrade or not, if you'll have any problems in the future. And by doing that, I definitely would recommend it, so you don't have problems, later on. As well as if you're going to do a clean installation, do make sure you back up your data. Make sure you do back it up, because don't rely on the Windows.old like I mentioned before. When you do like a clean installation over like Windows XP or Windows Vista, make sure you back up your crap. So other than that, if there's something I didn't cover here, or there's other questions that you have, just leave a comment below or send me a private message. So hopefully it helped, and thanks for watching.